Okay, part 3, communicate. Communication, really what we're talking about here is the process of connection or control. So we're talking about you over here, there's me, right? Then there's the woman. And now the way that we come together, the way that we connect is control. Why control? Because it's for a woman, and remember we're talking about sex here. For a woman, the sexual process, having sex with a man, feels like giving up control. Remember, there's a lot of risk. She's risking her social reputation. She's risking your value, or her value in your eyes, your perception of her. She's risking pregnancy, also STDs and stuff. You use protection, but that's still evolutionarily an instinctual. She has an instinctual protection against that. All right. So control. The process of becoming sexually intimate with a woman is about her giving you control. Why do we give control? Respect, safety, anticipation. Not seduction, not game, not value, not status, none of that. Yeah, there's definitely times where women have sex with a man because of his high value, because of his status. You know, if you've ever been a manager or at a restaurant or a strip club, or you've ever been a nightclub promoter, or, you know, any kind of position of power where there's women around, sure, you're going to get opportunities because of your status. But that's really about leadership. Again, it all fits under leadership. If you're in a position of authority, or you're, you know, like the manager at a restaurant, you're the leader. So that's it. Again, it all fits under that. You can be the leader with any woman when you approach her. Okay, you don't have to be, you know, some celebrity or some, you know, manager of Hooters or anything like that. All right. Basically, women need to feel like a woman can't have sex with a man she doesn't respect, feel safe with, or anticipate pleasure with. Now, we're focused on the sexual spark. The other stuff is going to be in other videos, but the sexual spark comes from you knowing that you can give her a great experience in bed, communication, and creating a situation where she's free to enjoy that. Okay, so I mentioned sex as control, respect, safety, anticipation. That's RSA. Those 3 gates of control. You can think about the gates opening. It's kind of a metaphor for a woman opening herself to you. It's an exchange. So she gives control to you. Now, women say, I want a man who takes control, but there's a subtle offer. Always. I'm always seeing offers or windows. So if I go to a bar and there's a woman in a mini skirt and heels standing there and she's kind of dancing a little bit, she's with her friends, the fact that she's there and looks good, I consider that an offer. In other words, she's not offering me sex, but she's offering a man to approach her and talk to her. She wouldn't be there if she didn't want a man to talk to her. She definitely wouldn't be in a miniskirt if she didn't want a man to talk to her. So, in my perception, it just so happens that an awesome guy is there tonight, and so she wore her miniskirt and showed up on the right night. It's her lucky night. So I approach her with this idea that she's ready for a man to start taking control. She wants to be taken. She wants to be swept off her feet. And that metaphor of being swept off her feet comes from, if you think about any time where your feet have been off the ground, you're not in control. You've given up control. Okay? So, thinking of sex as control is a much better way. It's more accurate. If you think about seducing a woman or attracting a woman, those are vague terms. They don't really hit the bullseye. If you think about like a dartboard, those are like the 3rd or 4th rings out. I don't know how many rings are on a dartboard, but they're kind of missing the mark. If you think about control and her giving you control and then you taking it, so she gives you a window and then you take it. For example, you approach her, you ask her name, she tells you her name, and then she keeps looking at you for a couple more moments. That's an offer to take control. And that's when you start having a conversation. Sex with meaning. I'm going to get more specific into this, but women want meaningful sex. Read the height report, or also I give a huge explanation of this and apply it to like hot, real world application in the control section of sexual supremacy. But meaning is what women want. They say they want meaningful sex. Now, guys get this confused. They think that means that a woman wants like lovey-dovey, romantic, you're telling her that she's your only girl and that you love her and all this kind of like romance stuff. That's not what they mean. Meaningful has more to do with why role-playing turns women on than telling her you love her, basically pretending to be her boyfriend so you can have sex with her. That's not what women mean by meaning. Meaning is about the story behind the sex. What turns women on the most? What do women read? What do women get turned on by? They don't look at porn. Well, they look at porn too. But more than anything, they read those romance novels. What's a romance novel? It's a story. It's a story about how a man, this tough, mysterious guy, you made her angry and she was frustrated because she couldn't get through to him. And then with her passion and her femininity, and her determination, right? She revealed his heart, and he's a rogue with a heart. And then they have passionate sex in front of the fireplace. Meaning, there's a story behind the sex. All right, so we're going to get into how to actually communicate to a woman that you can give her meaningful sex. Okay, let's talk about confidence. Like I said over here, you want to feel like you're giving. You're always giving. You want the woman, right? You want to touch her, you want to fuck her, you want to experience her, but you also want her to have a good experience. Okay, so if you don't feel like you can, if maybe you don't have a lot of sexual experience, maybe you've had a lot of experiences where you didn't feel like you satisfied the woman, maybe you tend to come really fast or have a hard time getting it up because you're nervous or whatever, or, what are some other things? You just feel clueless. You just don't get it. Well, it can be hard to become sexually confident. So my advice in that situation, and by the way, if you already have a lot of experience with women and you're already pretty good with women, this will still help you. This will magnify that 10 times. Number one, take the student approach. Take the student mindset. And I'll get into this later, specific tactics. But approach each woman like a student and learn about her. And when you actually do get in bed with her, which you will, you'll start having more intimate encounters with women if you apply the stuff I'm teaching. But, the next time you're in bed with a woman, learn about her body. Touch her more to find out what makes her feel good. Okay? And then you're going to do this in conversation as well so that the woman kind of is expecting this and excited about the fact that you're going to do that. And so having a student mindset where you're learning is the best way. With anything, let's say you never played basketball before, and you're scared to get on the court at a pickup game at the park because you've never played and you're not very good. Well, you got to start somewhere. So the best way to do that is maybe to go by yourself and shoot. Maybe go with a friend who's not going to make fun of you if you suck, and play some one-on-one. And over time, you start to, maybe you watch games, you read maybe some books on proper technique, shooting and all that. And then you can get in the game, right? And then over time, you can excel at the game. You can't be good at something until you've learned about it, you've been a student. You have to be a student first. Start now so that you can accelerate your progress and get it going. But approach women as a student sexually at first. And that, by the way, you'll find that that'll make for really good foreplay the first time. And then you'll start to understand what more and more women like. You'll put together the fundamental principles of a woman's body and what turns her on and how to touch her. But more importantly, you'll develop this intuitive sense of how to very quickly learn what makes a woman feel good. But you're not going to rush it because the exploration is inherently valuable, is inherently enjoyable. It's fun to do that. Women's bodies are awesome, right? So it's the first step. So you approach as a student, gradually you get better and better responses the more you learn about women's bodies. Or if it's just one girl you're seeing, you get better and better. You start to build your confidence. Also, you know what? This should have been the same bullet. It doesn't matter. So student frame, this next part, thrust in bed. When you're having sex with a woman, you want to basically communicate how much she turns you on. That's really what I'm doing. When I fuck a woman, I'm basically saying, you turn me on. You are sexy. You are beautiful. And I'm saying this with my hands, with my mouth, my lips, my tongue, if I'm biting her a little bit with my teeth, with my eyes, the way I look at her, my whole energy, and definitely with my dick. When I fuck her, I'm saying this. You are a beautiful woman. You turn me on. You are sexy. This is how I feel about you. So I'm thrusting into her. It's almost like I'm talking with my cock. And when women talk about, they want a man who knows how to work it, right? Well, it's not some specific technique. It's not like having great rhythm, although that can help. But you don't have to, I guess I'm off beat all the time. Having a rhythm isn't all that important. But what about when women say, well, if a man knows how to dance, that means he's good in bed? But dancing is about freeing your body and communicating with your body, letting the music flow through you and showing a woman your unique flavor of movement, your unique style. That's what dancing is. And so you do this in bed. When a woman feels that you can do that on the dance floor when other people are around, and see, most guys are very inhibited when they have sex. They just kind of do this, and then they do that for 10 minutes or whatever. But if you can kind of talk to her with your dick, right, and communicate and show her how hard you are, that's really what I'm kind of doing, is like I'm showing off my cock to this woman. I'm making her feel me. And I'm making her feel what she does to me. I'm showing her how hard I am for her. And I'll say this. I'll communicate this. So the next time you're in bed and you fuck a woman, as I'm talking about, thrusting, communicating, showing her with your hands, your body, your words, how much she turns you on, and thinking more about showing off rather than doing it right, you'll find that women at the end of it are like, whoa, that was amazing. Now, what do I mean by talking? That probably is beyond the scope. That's probably like how to be good in bed, in depth, a different video. Okay, so the sexual spark in conversation. Remember, this, just to review, this is confidence. You're going to do all this the next time you're in bed with a woman. Student frame for foreplay, thrust in bed. Express to her how passionate you are about her, how you feel about her. That will get you a better response. Getting back to confidence, you get better responses, creates a positive feedback loop, and then you start to believe that you're good in bed. So when you walk up to a woman, you know she likes sex because you've reviewed this and you've seen proof when you had sex with a woman. And now the next woman you meet, no matter how beautiful she is, you're not going to worry, am I good enough? Am I on her level value-wise? You're going to think about how good you can make her feel. Imagine that. Imagine how much confidence I have. Imagine how much power I have when I talk to a woman, knowing that I can fuck her brains out. That if she comes home with me, she'll be happy she did. Like, I feel like it's her lucky day. I feel like I'm helping somebody. I'm like the Red Cross. Okay. Okay. So tactics in conversation, expression. So when you're talking about yourself, you want to set a sexual precedent. I do this when I first approach, when I first meet a woman. I love to go direct, and I'm very comfortable with it. And that's what I teach usually. Is I teach guys how to approach a woman in a direct way, but in a way that's like fun, not scary. So I'll go to a woman and say, "You look great tonight. What's your name?" Or I'll say, "I love how that skirt looks on you." Or I'll say, "I love your figure." Yeah, I'm that forward. I've also said things like, I remember one particular, I was in a club. This just popped in my head. I was in a club on one side of the dance floor, and then on the other side was the bar. And I see this woman walk in front of me, and she had just a beautiful figure, really big butt, but like a little waist. A lot of guys were kind of just staring at her like, they were behind her kind of like, oh my God. And of course, I'm the guy who approaches, right? And that just illustrates, beautiful woman, no one's talking to her. So here I come, and it was crowded, and she was walking, so I wasn't sure what to do, so I just kind of walked behind her, eyes glued to her ass, right? Getting really turned on as I'm walking up to her. And so she's walking in front of me, she stops at the bar, her friend ordered drinks, and she turns around. And I keep walking, and I walk right up to her, and we're like this close. And I say, that was fun. And she says, huh? And I said, I was walking behind you across the dance floor, and I could not take my eyes off. It was so fucking beautiful, right? So that's really direct. Now, what am I communicating there? There's a lot of sexuality in that. I'm not saying anything crude like, I'm going to fuck the shit out of you. That might work. I've said things like that before. I don't want to give you that advice yet. That's more like you really have to be comfortable with that. So right off the bat, setting a sexual precedent. Resonate. If you understand how women think about sex and then you talk about yourself in terms that they understand, you can turn them on. I'll talk a lot about my own sexuality. For example, I was at the bar the other night. I went up there by myself, like during happy hour, I think, and had a couple beers, and there were two girls sitting near the bar, and I was at the bar. And I get into conversation with them. I asked them if they were Italian. They both looked Italian. They were darker haired. And they were like, oh, yeah, we're Italian. I was like, yeah, because Italians are like curvy, right? I was like, I have an eye for like women who are like Italian or Hispanic. And they were like, oh, yeah, we get teased all the time about our butts. And I was like, oh, my God, I love that. I love women with curves, with nice asses. And they're all giggling, and I'm so comfortable with it. Remember, I'm sexual, and I'm okay with that. I value sexuality. It's a good thing, okay? Thumbs up, right? So instead of being like, oh, yeah, well, that's cool, and just getting nervous about it, I'm like, awesome. You guys are awesome because you have big butts. That's great. And they're loving this, right? And so one girl, what I thought was the cuter one, gets up, and again, you guys can kind of see where my head's at now, but I'm following her ass with my eyes, right? And her friend sees me, and she's like, are you staring at my friend's ass? And I was like, yeah, I love it. It's beautiful. It turns me on. I said something like that. I think she's really sexy, or she turns me on. So what I'm doing there is I'm communicating that she turns me on specifically, and I'm comfortable with my sexuality. Not only comfortable, but damn, I'm like proud of it. So there's no reason to hide it. Think about the shoplifting analogy where I went in, worried because I didn't have any money, but I still wanted to get. What if I walked in that store like, hey, can I get some help over here? Because I had a pocket full of money. Okay? So if I do that, the salesman is going to be like, oh, wow, this guy has some money to give me. I'm excited. It's not a perfect analogy, but if you walk up to a woman and you're very comfortable with your sexuality, she's going to say, whoa, he must have a lot to offer in bed. He must be good in bed. Okay? So I'm communicating that by being totally comfortable, talking about sex. And I should say, by the way, when the girl came back, they kind of whispered to each other, and I knew what they were whispering about, so I sipped my beer and relaxed because I wanted her to tell the girl what I had said. I wanted her to, because I know women. And I know that she was going to get turned on by that. So, boom, she's way more responsive to me. She ends up ignoring her friend, and her friend started talking to some drunk guy. And she and I are connecting, and she gets ready to leave, and she does the really slowly, waiting, hoping I'll get her number. And of course I did. We've been texting. Supposed to hang out with her last night. I was too tired, actually. Permission, freedom, and confidence. Okay, so like I said, women have this predicament, right? And if you understand that, it's no longer about trying to get her to want to have sex. It's more about letting her know that it's okay that she wants to have sex. The difference is you assume that she wants it, which she does, and you give her freedom to do that. Guys that sleep with a lot of women know that they can be free and wild and bad with those guys. That's why bad boys, right? There's a whole idea of this bad boys, women like bad boys. Well, it's because she can be bad too. She wants to be bad, right? And bad meaning sexual. So anytime you can give her permission to do that, okay, so freedom and confidence. Basically, what I'll do with the woman that I'm talking to is I want to give her physical compliments. but I want to balance my interest between her mind and her body. Most guys do one or the other. Too much focus on her mind, no sexual spark. It's boring and platonic. Too much focus on her body, you're a jerk, you're a sleazeball. And so what I want to do is balance both, but I definitely want to give her confidence about her body and about being sexy. So, there's these other women that I could be talking to, especially if I'm good at approaching. She's going to be like, wow, this guy probably gets a lot of girls. So I want to communicate. The confidence comes from her feeling like I specifically like her and I'm interested in her and turned on by her. So I'll tell a woman that she's turning me on. I'll say, I love your shape, you're turning me on. I'll say, the way I'll say it is like, I love your shape, you're turning me on. Another thing I'll say, and one thing I've said before, when women have like kind of like bright red or like really strong color lipstick, I'll stare at their lips. I'll really keep looking at their lips, and I'll say, you have the sexiest lips. And then maybe she'll say, yes, thanks, or whatever. And then it doesn't matter what she says. What I'll say next is, you are so bad. And then she'll be like, oh, no, I'm not, or I'm a good girl. And I'll be like, no, it's okay. I like it. It's good. So I'm giving her freedom. I'm saying, like, I know she's bad, or she wants to be bad. I know she's sexual. She's going to deny it. And so that's really where the freedom and the confidence comes in. So confidence, basically, I sort of got these out of order. But you want to give her confidence about her sexiness. But don't go overboard. You want to balance it with an interest in her mind. Okay, so asking her questions about who she is, talking about your own personality and how you think and figuring out how she thinks. But then, at random times, and it shouldn't be random. It shouldn't be like something you plan. It's like you notice something about her. So I'll be talking to a woman, we're talking about whatever, our favorite foods or something. And then there will be kind of a lull in the conversation. I'll just look down and I'll look at her hips and I'll be like, you have the most beautiful curve of your hips. Like, it's just like this round, drive me crazy. Like, I can barely think straight. And she'll be like, oh, thanks. Or she'll be like, whoa, or whatever she does, it doesn't matter. And then I'll say, you are so bad, or you're a sexy little woman. And again, regardless of what she says, I want to give her freedom to be it. I know her hidden desire. I know her secret. She can deny it. She can admit to it. Doesn't matter. I'm still going to give her permission to express it. So I'm going to say, it's okay. I like it. I love that. I'll get more advanced in a second. Explore. I talked about this earlier, but basically asking her questions about her life and really getting focused on her and saying, basically asking me questions. So, maybe she's talking about, she'll say she's a nurse. You say, why did you get into that? She said, because blah, blah, blah. I like to care about people. I like to help. And I'll say, like, what's the most rewarding thing that you've done recently? Or what was a really memorable experience you had recently? And she's talking about it. I'm really listening. And whatever she says, I'm going to relate to it. I'm going to relate to like an emotional experience that I had that's similar. So she relates her emotions. I'm going to relate my emotions about. It doesn't have to be about anything related topic-wise. The emotions are the same, though. Okay. So what I'm doing there again is I'm exploring. I'm showing that I'm going to be good at foreplay. And so one thing you can do here is use the articles I write on Go Beyond Dating, and ask her opinion of them. Say, hey, I found this crazy site. This guy. He writes these articles, and he was talking about such and such a concept. He was talking about how, and here's where you can again give her permission. Where you can say, he was talking about how women. I never realized this, but this guy Brian, he was talking about how women are just as sexual as men, but they kind of have to hide it. And I guess I never really thought of it like that. And now that I've kind of read some of his articles, like he had this one called Thrust and Embrace, where he talks about how men and women have different sort of fundamental natures that complement each other. Like for me, Brian says, my nature is to thrust. So when I'm living, day to day, like in my job, in the gym and with a woman, my goal is to kind of impact and make other people feel me and feel how powerful and passionate I am. And so that's like thrust. And he makes it, he uses that term because he wants you to understand that it's very sexual too. When you have sex with a woman, you want to thrust into her and make her feel you and show her how much she turns you on. And then you can talk about embrace or whatever, and just say that. What do you think of that? What's your thoughts on that? Women will jump on that. They will, first of all, they'll be turned on by how you talked about it. The thrust part especially, I always get into that. But they will also be really interested in having the conversation. And when you introduce it in this way, if you just come out with, hey, so what turns you on sexually? It might be a little random, maybe not. Maybe if you're there on the couch with her talking to her, maybe that's okay. But that's a great way to introduce learning about what turns her on. You can ask her, so what excites you? What turns you on? What kinds of things do you like to do when you're first kind of getting intimate with a guy? And she's probably not going to give you a lot of details. It's not important. It's, again, not important the reaction or what she tells you. You just want to communicate that you're a guy she can be bad with. You give her permission. You build her confidence when she's just let her show you a little bit or just notice a little bit. Low cut shirt, say, God, you were driving me crazy. You were bad. Okay? Or you can accuse her of being a perv. I'm going to get into that in a second. And then, again, freedom. Say, it's okay, I like it. Okay, so permission, freedom, and confidence. There's the whole saying about women like bad boys. It's not because the guy is bad, it's because she can be bad with him. Right? There's also the element of a guy who's tough and kind of wild. She's going to be safe with that guy. Feeling safe is really important with women. But relevant to right now is that she can be bad with him. She can be free with him. Okay? So you want to communicate that she can be free and wild and bad with you. And that means you don't see sex as bad. So bad is good for you. Okay? So you want to communicate that you're a guy she can be sexual with without being judged. And you do this by there's a couple ways you can do it, but basically you want to get her to express sexuality, or you want to see how she's already doing it, point it out, or encourage it, and then kind of build her confidence about it. Okay? So a couple examples I have. First of all, this is a great one. Have her touch you. There's one thing better than touching a woman, and that's having her touch you. It's way more powerful. And it feels good, right? So what I'll do a lot is I get knots in my back, and I'll be talking to a woman, and I'll be like, I have this friggin' knot in my back. Would you rub it? And it's not, I'm not making it up. It's not a script. There actually is a knot in my back. And I have women like do it. And it's important to me to find out if a woman is good at that, because it means she's sensual. So in a way, I'm screening as well. But I want a woman that knows how to touch me. And if she doesn't, I'm going to teach her. Someone say, no, not like that. Right, that's it. That's right there. That's good. People like to do what they're good at. So instantly I want to, it's almost like a ramp. Or a wedge. As soon as I can get her to be sexual with me, it's all sex, but it might not seem like it for me. That's what it is. But when she's touching me, I'm sort of teaching her how to take care of me, how to please me physically. And so I definitely want to encourage her to do that. I also give women the back scratch test, where I want them to use their nails and do the way that women gently scratch you. I want to get her to do that. So I'll say, how are your back scratch skills? Or how are your scratching skills? And she'll say, what do you mean? And I'll say, give me your hands. You have nails? Nice. Okay. Let's see it right here. Okay. Now, as soon as she does it, I'm going to say, that feels really good. I'm going to respond to her. This gets into how to basically make women want to give you blowjobs, which is a thing I'm an expert on. That's one thing I can say I'm very good at, is getting women to want to give me want to suck my dick and want to do it a lot. That's what I do. So if you're into that, listen to me. This guy. Okay, where am I at here? Oh, yes. So another thing you can do, I'm going to talk about using Go Beyond Dating to bring up sexual topics, but actually using the articles that I write to bring up sexual topics. If it's true, I don't know, you can make this up if you want. I really don't advise making stuff up. But I have female friends that will tell me it's kind of because of who I am, they can talk about this with me, but they'll tell me kind of fun stories about their sex lives. You can bring this up with the woman that you just met and say, I got this crazy friend, I don't know, what's the girl's name? Almost like Jenny. I got this crazy friend, Jenny. She was telling me blah, 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 blah. She was telling me how she met this guy and, she was talking to him and he wasn't getting the message that she was interested in him. So, he went to get them drinks, and as he came back, she grabbed his dick and said, "Thank you." And I thought it's like really crazy, and like, I don't know, like no woman's done that to me before. But by the way, this is something you can say. No woman's ever done that to me before. But I was like, holy shit, that's so awesome. Like, I wish more women would do that. I wish when a woman was into me, she would just grab me. That would be like so odd, because then I would know. I wouldn't have to like read her cues. But also, I love when a woman grabs my dick. So it just feels good. You can say that to a woman, and she'll probably be cracking up, and she'll be like, "Wow, okay." And now maybe she will or not. I've actually said stuff like that where the woman is like, "Oh, really?" So I can just, I've had that happen. I can't think of any specific examples right now because that's just how I interact with women. I talk about my dick a lot, but not in a crude way. It's like in a fun, sometimes self-deprecating way. But I'm always just like, "Hey, this is great. This is part of me. This is who I am." So you can use stories like that. And the most important thing, again, it's not so much that she agrees or openly admits to being sexual, but it's important that you communicate that if she were to, it would be good, you would accept it. So telling a story like that instantly says, "Man, I wish women would be more aggressive and sexual like that. I wish a woman would just grab me like that. That would be awesome." You're basically telling her that she can be bad with you, okay? Bad meaning good. One more thing is you want to shape a woman to be independent and make her own decisions. That's really important when it comes time to take her home. And as I'll break down in barriers, where you make the friends the barrier and actually get her to kind of say, "You know what? I don't care what my friends think. I'm going home with you because I make my own decisions." So anything that she does or says where you can kind of do a warm read or even a cold read where you say, "You seem really independent. Like, you just make your own decisions. You don't give a fuck what people think of you." Of course, she's going to be like, "Yes." And then later on, she's going to have to stay congruent to that. Okay? She's going to have to stay consistent to that is the more accurate word. Because people don't want to come off inconsistent in front of others, especially someone she just met that she wants to make a good impression on. Okay, let's get into some advanced conversation tactics here. Say tactics, like that's the technical term for it, but really, we're having fun. Barriers and challenges. This is where sexual tension comes in. This is what flirting is all about. Flirting is really about showing sexual interest in someone, but making it seem like you're joking so that they think that you're not serious. That's actually the more accurate definition of flirting. That's Webster's probably puts it a little differently, but basically you joke around about wanting to have sex with somebody in a way, or being attracted to somebody in a way that they think you're joking, or maybe they're just not sure if you're joking or not. I have a guy who he was my student. He took the Lead 7 program like 3 years ago. He's now like a really good friend of mine, Vader, and you guys will probably be hearing a lot more from him in the near future. But he's like the best flirt I know. He's amazing. And he took the program, went back home and practiced. And now he's a better flirt than me. I mean, he's got a different personality. So where I'm more quiet and direct and sexual, and I really kind of want the woman to like talk and express herself to me. He's very just playful and flirty, and he's always just joking around. And he basically what he does is he'll create a barrier where he's the barrier. Where, like, for example, he'll joke around about, and this might sound crazy, but I've seen it work really well, where he'll joke around about wanting to have a baby with a girl. So he'll be joking, and he'll be like, "Girl, you're so sexy, like, I'm going to put a baby in you tonight, I swear to God." And then he'll say, like, "You need to stop, like, you're turning me on." And he'll say stuff like that where he's the barrier to her to them sleeping together, and so she's going to want to overcome that. Women love a challenge, right? Especially if it's a challenge they can overcome. And so that's one way he does that. Another way is by flirting with the woman and, saying things like, by joking around a lot with her and saying, oh, you're so sexy. Oh my God, you're driving all these guys crazy. Look at how hot you are. But he's saying it in such a playful, goofy way that the girl isn't sure if he's serious or not. However, the thought goes into her head. So it's almost like a Trojan horse. Flirting is something that's been working for as long as humans have been having sex, okay? Actually, I have an interview with Vader about how to sleep with women who are married. And I'm probably going to make that a bonus for Take Her Home Tonight. And I have another interview with him. I'm not sure how I use it. Maybe I'll use that as a bonus too. But, it fits in with that because Take Her Home Tonight is all about taking women home, take her home tonight. Like, make it happen tonight. Move fast. Have the kind of sex you want with the kind of women you want. And, this guy is prolific, and he's got a lot of good stuff to share. So she's the barrier. So one way, this kind of is sort of like what I said earlier about permission, only you're going to be a little more sexual with it. You're going to maybe say, if she has like a low-cut top, you can like look down and say, God, your cleavage is like driving me crazy. You are such a little perv. So you're turning the tables on her. You're accusing her of being a perv. You're the one who's staring at it, so the frame typically is that, oh, guys are dogs, right? Guys are dirty. And so you're being the perv, right? Who's wearing the low-cut top? Okay? So you accuse her of being a perv. And she says, no, I'm not. You're the one who's, like, staring. And then you can say, oh, so you wanted to seduce me, and now you're worried you bit off too much. You're worried you bit off more than you could chew. And she'll be like, what? And I'll be like, you're worried that you can't handle me. I think, no, you know what? It's okay. You're scared. I'm here. So I'm joking, right? It's sort of tongue in cheek. But she's the barrier. She's been like, no, I'm not scared. I can handle you, whatever, Again, created a barrier for her to overcome. Another one where she's the barrier. She's too much of a good girl. This is like reverse psychology. Vader almost stole a girl from me using this. Shit was crazy. But anyways, basically what he did, and I stole it from him, is I was talking to this girl. I approached her on the street. Really, really pretty girl. This was back when I was in New York City. And I stop her. I tell her she's beautiful. I'm being like really genuine and warm. Not playful enough, really. And he comes in and he's like, you know what? You seem like a good girl. This is a good guy for you. He's a nice guy. He'll build you a white picket fence. See, I'm bad. You shouldn't even talk to me because I'll corrupt you.
He said I'm bad decisions.
Yeah, he said I'm the guy you make bad decisions with. All right. So instantly, you know what she said next? She was like, I like to make bad decisions too. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. What? So, anyways, it works really well. And I had done stuff like that before, but I really, in that moment, saw how powerful it can be to challenge a woman, to create a barrier where she's a good girl. You can say other things, like you can look in her eyes, again, get her to say what. So you look at her, and she'll say what. And then you say, I'm just having thoughts. I don't want to offend your delicate sensibilities. She'll be like, what do you mean? And I'll be like, I don't know. You just seem kind of like a good girl. Like, I don't know if I can be really honest with you yet. Okay, so being honest. Well, she wants to think of herself as honest, so she's going to want to overcome that. Say, well, yeah, you can be honest with me. What were you thinking? Tell me. And then also, basically kind of saying that she's a prude. No woman wants to think that. She definitely doesn't want you to think she's like that. And what you're also communicating is, I'm a guy you can be bad with. Permission, okay? The third kind of barrier is where she's the barrier, or where her friends are the barrier, where the environment is the barrier. So, she maybe, let's say you've had a conversation with her for maybe 10, 20 minutes, and it's going good. You're touching her. You guys are kind of like sharing the eye contact. You can feel like it's on. Well, problem is, again, the predicament, women cock block each other. And I didn't realize the extent of this until I did an interview with 3 women that I had personally been intimate with. I, slept with them, dated them, and then we're still like really good friends. That's how it is with most of the women that I become close to. I actually didn't realize the extent of this until I did 3 interviews with women that I had been intimate with, still good friends with them. We slept together, we dated, and I'm still good friends with them. These are the interviews. It was Maria, Annalise, and Megan interviews in the sexual supremacy program. So you can listen to those if you get the program. But basically they were saying how women, it's sort of like a girl code where women will actually like cock block each other. Or what these girls said to me was they were always worried about going home with a guy or sleeping with a guy too fast because they didn't want their friends to find out because they could lose value. They could be labeled. And then a lot of times they'd want to actually go home with the guy that they were turned on by. And then the girls would like either pull them away or tell them, don't do it. And that actually is a frustration that women have. It's back to the predicament, okay? So what you want to do is communicate that you understand that that's the dynamic and really make the friends into like the evil witches that want to prevent her from having fun. So the way you do it, which by the way is true, and I know this, okay? So what you can say is, okay, things are going really well, and you can say something like, and again, you've got to feel comfortable being sexual, and I kind of told you how to do that. But, if you say something like, just you're talking and you just look down at her and you say, God, I would love to just lay you down and just kiss every little hidden spot on your body. I would start on your toes. I would work up your shins and your calves and your kneecaps. And then I would probably just end up like right behind your earlobes, right here. And then kiss her gently right here. Kind of maybe suck her earlobe a little bit if you can. She's going to get really turned on and then say, but I know your friends probably won't let you. Now remember also you shaped her to be independent, make her own decisions. You say, I know your friends probably won't let you. So you get her all worked up. You get her really turned on. She's picturing this. You maybe give her a little kiss on her neck. And then you say, but I know your friends probably won't let you because you have to be good in front of them. And then she'll be like, yeah, And then you can say, well, if you wanted to leave with me, would you have to ask them permission? Maybe you should just ask them permission. Like, is it okay? And really try to like draw attention to the fact that these girls are like cock blocks. Okay, so you're creating this dynamic where the friends are this obstacle again that she can easily overcome by saying, she can either tell them or she could say, well, and then at that point you want to actually have a plan to take her home, to like get her out of there. And I break stuff like that down and take her home at night. But you want to be able to make that move when she's sort of like, well, you have to understand logistics, be able to be creative, understand how the whole thing works. So that's take her home at night stuff. Okay, another advanced technique. This is the aviator. Now this gets back into me basically telling women what I want to do to them. It also gets back to the student frame. But basically, there's a scene in The Aviator with Leonardo DiCaprio. There's a scene with the waitress. I'll either put a link. But basically, you want to be really direct with women and say, I want to know how to make you feel good. And you can say things like, you should come home with me. She'll say, oh, why is that? And then you say, so that I can learn how to make you feel good. Or so that I can put 110% into pleasing you. But it would be like teamwork, like you and me together. We'll work on this. Okay. Orgasms all night. Let's do it. All right. And you're being funny. You're kind of talking shit a little bit, but it communicates again that remember the motivation issue. Okay, we got to get this girl motivated, all right? The second part of this, again, the reason why these are together requires a lot of confidence, and you're being really direct. I call this balls, okay? Now, what this means is telling a woman things like, you're going to love my dick. I've said this so many times. At first, they're like, oh, really? What are you talking about? I'm like, just trust me. You should come home with me. Okay, so it requires a lot of confidence. You're going to have that if you do this stuff. But saying things like, you're going to love my dick, or I will fucking rock your world if you get in bed with me. You know, saying things like, you know, tomorrow morning, like, you will look back on tonight as like being your lucky night. You really, really should come home with me. Let me show you how good I can fuck you. Saying things like that, and just really believe in it and staying with it. Don't hold your ground with it. She's going to test you. She's going to say, oh, I don't know. And then just look at her and be like, yeah, no, it's real. Okay. And you can have fun with it too and be a little bit overboard, just to have fun and make it funny. Okay, nonverbals, last part. Get comfortable with holding really long eye contact. And then also, this is something I do a lot. Your eyes are probably more communicative than your words, actually. But trace the contour along her body and actually visually or mentally imagine kissing her and caressing her. So look at her body, definitely, and let her catch you. And she might actually test you and be like, what are you looking at? And then you just say, you just stand your ground and say, I'm just looking at your body. I love it. You're so pretty. I'm just thinking about, like, how fun it would be to kiss you along your neckline. You're communicating with your eyes, and women can feel this. You look them around here, over here, all the places that you like. One thing I do a lot is, again, I'm probably going to be talking to a girl with a nice ass, right? Because that's what I like. So one thing I'll do is, while we're talking, I'll just be like, oh, I just have to and I'll take her by the hand and turn her and just look at her and kind of turn around so I can see her ass. And I'll just be like, oh. And then turn her back around. She'll be like, what was that? And I'll be like, nothing, continue. And so it's nonverbal, right? Touching, obviously. Touching is a whole other video, but you want to be good at touching. And really sensual touching, too. I'll get into that in another video, but sensual touching is, you know, like when you're talking to her, trace your finger right in here behind, I don't know if you can see, behind the soft spot, like on her wrist, as you're talking to her. So you're talking to her and you're just doing this, right? Standing close. Standing closer. Get comfortable standing closer to women and looking them in the eye. Really powerful. There's actually a woman I know that I'm not like sleeping with or anything, but she's from another country, and she always stands really close to me and looks me in the eye. And even I'm like, whoa, like, you better be careful before I fuck the shit out of you. So it gets, but I can't, I'm not going to do that. But, so it becomes like intense. She's more comfortable with me. Get comfortable standing close to women. All right. And the way to gauge that is, like, you can actually feel her body heat, maybe her breasts brush against you a little bit. So get comfortable standing close. That communicates a lot of sexuality. Basically what you're doing here is doing stuff that's not verbal, but that's really communicating a strong sexual intent. So eyes, turning her around, blatantly looking at her, tracing her body with your eyes, imagining caressing her, always with a warm, appreciative look. That's the key to making all this work, is always sending appreciation with your eyes. Appreciation being one of the focalities. What's another one? Touch, standing closer. And then moving slowly. Slow down. This is probably the number one thing I tell guys during my Lead 7 programs is slow it down. Helps you relax, but again, shows that you're good in bed. Going slow, especially at first. I mean, obviously women at some point want to get pounded and kind of speed up as you go. But to start out, going slow is really exciting to women. You have thrust. It's about you. You have awareness. It's about understanding women or exploring women. And we have control, which is the process a sexual process where you're gradually, she's giving you opportunities to take control and you're taking them. You're also kind of triggering her to give you those opportunities by building up anticipation, with the way you talk about yourself, showing her in different ways that it's okay if she's sexual, learning about her. You can go beyond dating topics. All the stuff I've talked about here, bring it up with women. And then non-verbally, this is really, really important. Eyes, touch, standing close to her, and the speed at which you move is slow. Ultimately, this is about going beyond dating. This is about going beyond the dysfunctional paradigms of dating and meeting women that I think hold a lot of guys back. My ultimate goal for you is that you can move on from chasing after women and worrying about how to get laid and how to get dates and how to meet women, and instead to sort of handle that, make that just a fun, easy part of your life where you're meeting the kind of women you really want, you're having the kind of sex you really want, you're having the relationships you really want, whether it's an open, just more of a casual friendship with a woman where you're sleeping with her, or and in doing this with multiple women if you want, or finding that one special girl and having like more of a monogamous relationship. Whatever your goal is, we want to handle that so that you can focus on contributing to the world in your unique way, whether that means starting your own business or focusing more on a hobby that you're more passionate about, instead of like going out and chasing after girls. We want to move beyond that. Also, I think that the dating game between men and women it's more problematic for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think that the gender roles have become blurred, and I think guys don't really understand how to relate to women anymore. You're no longer the breadwinner. You're no longer the big tough guy that brings home the bacon. Women aren't, waiting by the phone, hoping he'll ask me to the dance or hoping he'll ask me out on a date. They're out living their lives and working, volunteering, going to school, hanging out with their friends and family. And you are too. So the old kind of dating paradigms don't work anymore. The pickup artist stuff was a cute little phase that we had. I went through it. It's time to evolve from that as well. And the way to do that is, as a man, to step up, stop pretending that you're a victim, and become a leader, which is who you really are. Your best self is who you really are. And at your best, you're a leader, first of yourself and then of others. And we need more of that.